morning, Celina. This is Philip Ferguson, councilman for Place 1 on Celina City Council. This morning we're here with Brien Caldwell. He's the owner of Next Day Access, and we're going to have a little conversation with him, and he can tell us about his business. A couple of housekeeping items to keep aware of. This Friday is Friday Night Market. If you've not been to one before, it's one of the best ways to spend some time downtown. A lot of fun vendors, get to see your neighbors and meet new folks. And also just a reminder, next Tuesday is our monthly city council meeting, and that'll start at 5 o'clock. So Brien, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate you making time for us. So when on your business, I want you to tell us about your business, but let's start off with the word mobility. When you think about mobility, what do you think people normally think of?
Sure, absolutely, Phil. So Next Day Access, Dallas-Celina, what we offer is mobility and accessibility solutions for our customers. And so what comes to mind for me when I hear the word, it comes to mind freedom, freedom and dignity. Because in a lot of cases, our customers are sometimes wheelchair bound, where they cannot get into or out of their house or around their house. So with us being able to provide wheelchair ramps, bathroom grab bars, and stair lifts inside the house, then that allows our customers that freedom and some dignity back into their lives that they've lost.
Okay, that sounds great. Why did you get started in this business? What led you to it?
Sure, absolutely. A couple of things. One, my wife and I have been in the corporate world for over 30 years. And so my wife recently retired from the insurance world, and I retired from the marketing realm for the last 30 years. And we're not old, but we're not young, and we can't retire at this age.
You're in your prime.
There we go, in our prime. And so we needed to figure out what was that next chapter of life. What was that going to look like? And so my wife, she herself has some disability issues of her own that has really, she's been struggling with for the last several years. And so as her spouse, I've lived alongside her, helping her, watching her finagle some of those obstacles in life. And so that's really the driving factor of what led us to this business. As we were exploring different franchise opportunities here in the Celina area, this business, Next Day Access, kept rising to the top, only because it was pulling at the heart. It was meaningful to us that this resonated with us. I think my wife really says it best. At the end of the day, she wanted to select a franchise that made her feel good about giving back to the community.
You touched on this a little bit before, but in terms of, when you think about mobility issues and so forth, I think for most people, what's automatically going to come to mind is going to be your older folks.
Right.
And that's certainly the case in my personal life. But let's expand on that. Who could benefit from what it is that you offer?
Sure, absolutely. We service children all the way up to middle-aged parents to the elderly. And right now we have a 10-year-old patient, customer that has some mobility issues and challenges, and so we've been able to help that family. There's another family that has a 20-year-old daughter that wanted access to her pool, and so we were able to provide a pool lift for their 20-year-old daughter. But then it could be somebody that's 25 to 35 years old. They got in a car accident, and they're out of the hospital, but now they're in physical rehab. And part of the rehab is you can't go home until your home is retrofitted.
You touched on this already a little bit too, but some obvious uses, like a wheelchair ramp. I mean, that's pretty self-evident. What are some other ways people may benefit from what you have?
Sure. No matter what, every situation's always going to be a little bit different in the scope and nature. And that's really kind of what makes the job interesting, is when the phone rings, you never know what challenge that may be.
Can you think of, without using names, can you think of like a real life example, maybe even someone locally, where what issue were they having, and how were you able to kind of mitigate that?
Sure, absolutely. It's very seldom for themselves. It's usually for somebody that they're taking care of. It's called aging in place, and it just simply means that you're inviting your family into your home to live out their remainder of their life, only because sometimes senior living centers are either full or they're very expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and so come into play and kind of help that customer, help transition their loved ones back into their house.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to share? We covered a lot of ground, but
Mhm.
but what else you want to make sure our viewers are aware of?
This has been a very so we've been open for 3 months.
Okay.
We opened May 1st, and today's August
Well,
1st, I
happy
believe.
anniversary.
So 90 days, 90 days in, and it's been very, very rewarding. I think at the end of the day, that's what really motivates us. My wife and I, we're co-owners in this business, and you mentioned passion earlier. Clearly, we have a passion for it. We see that there's a need for helping those that have mobility or accessibility issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then, really lastly, just because of my wife's personal experiences that we've gone through, we see that there's a need in this market. And so we're happy to be here. We chose to base our business in Celina because we live in Celina.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would rather, have our tax base, taxes support locally where we live.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully right now we've got a small staff, but we're going to grow and we're going to need more people.
Mm-hmm.
And Collin College is right down the road. Celina High School is right down the road. So we've got a lot of opportunity for us that, we'd rather hire local if we can, whether it's going to be for part-time or full-time status. So everything we've done with this business has been intentional, right down to the bank.
So if folks want to get a hold of you, how do
Yes.
they reach you?
nextdayaccess.com/Celina-TX. That's our website. You can also find us on Facebook and as well as LinkedIn. And we have a phone number of 469-361-3300.
Perfect. All right. Well, there you have it, folks.
All right.
Brien Caldwell from Next Day Access. Give them a call if you have a need.
All
Thanks,
right.
man. Appreciate
Thank you, Phil.
All right.